All right, this thing's lying. It says it's been live for 1 minute and 50 seconds. It has not.
This episode, nobody beats the house.
I guess we'll just leave it at that. All right, so we're going to get into it and start reading some of these comments. I'm going to share the screen first. I guess I should have set that up ahead of time. Give me some feedback on if you can hear me all right. I'm not yelling or anything. I do have a fan going. Screen share. Boom. All right, so don't be alarmed. I have a wide screen. We're opening that up. If you can still hear, give us some feedback. On my lunch break. They give you lunch at that place? That's pretty nice. Or at least time to eat lunch. I don't know if they pay for your lunch. That's communism. All right, so we're going to read the comments from the ATF. First, I'm going to go over here and open up the YouTube video that y'all are looking at. In the comments of this video, all right, so we're going to, in the comments of this video, is this link. And this link takes you to the comments, to the regulations.gov, which has the comments. And I haven't looked at this in a while. The holiday, the long weekend. Decided to figure the government wasn't working, so decided to not bother because I dug in on Saturday and read a bunch of the ones I read on Friday. So here we are on, what is this, Tuesday? You know what it is? It's Every Second Matters. It is June the 2nd. So there are 78 more days for the comment period. It is running until August 19th if it goes to its full time. They haven't always. And looks like as of 11:59 p.m. yesterday, it says in the boilerplate that there's 39,161 comments that have been submitted. And according to the little number over here, 11,050 have been okayed and put into the system. All right, so we're going to click over onto that tab. We're clicking on the Browse Comments tab, and I like to go in and sort by newest. So ideally, we're getting ones that have been added most recently to the pile from that big pile of 34,000 or whatever it was. What was it? 39,000. I'm not being correct. So, well, we're not done. We have a little while to go. Don't be too upset yet. We have a pretty decent pace going on, considering there's a bunch of things to worry about, a lot of different fronts, I guess, right now in the attacks. All right, so I'm guessing this is the 5x5 for the volume. Thanks for that. All right, so now I'm looking at this first page sorted by newest to oldest, and I'm going to look just to verify. I'm looking at the number of the comment or the comment identifier, and we've got 10,818, 10,807, 811, 824. So it looks like they're again coming in at the 10,000 comment mark. And I'm just going to go through. This is what I typically do. Is I go in and open up the first page so that we get a sequential group. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to the way that they post them. I'm assuming there's not. But just in case they do them in batches or somehow there's so many kind of weird inconsistencies with the randomness, I'm just going to grab a bunch here and open these in a new tab. So I'm just clicking on each one and opening in a new tab. And then at some point I'm going to get bored, go to the bottom and click over to the third page and just scroll down and randomly grab a couple from this third page. So these are more of my random sample set. So at the beginning of the video, we'll be talking about, or we'll be reading some of the first, most current ones, and that's a sequential list of about 20 I clicked on, and then this will be another bunch. Should I count them? Is there a way to, somebody know how I can count how many tabs I got open? My monitor is so wide that I can't even see how many tabs I've got. So I don't know if there's a way to do it. Sometimes on a spreadsheet, it'll tell you at the bottom how many tabs you got open. Don't tell me, so who cares? So we're going to go back over to the first tab there, and that is comment number 10818. And it looks like there's 4 people watching live, so you can make the decision. If you type in 42, there'll be no comments. And if you type in 81, there will be commentary. Otherwise, I'll start reading them without commentary. So if you wanted to see this one way or the other, then maybe you should have watched it live so that you can make decisions for the rest of the world like these 5 people are going to do. All right, so with that being said, James saying I've already commented 3 times. I still don't think it's enough. Well, I mean, it's not like there's a number. Sure, somebody that doesn't comment at all, they're not two-way, but that's, I forgot what the numbers mean, so you might as well just type in if you want comments or not, because I'm already not thinking about this. I am going to drink a little bit of coffee because it's morning in Arizona. Not back on the coffee, but I did buy some nut milk, so I put some coffee in that nut milk. All right, so we're starting with comment 10818. Looks boilerplate to me. Stop attacking the good guys and start going after the bad ones. RE ATF 2021 R-05. It has not escaped anyone's attention that the political attack on gun kits was written and organized by leftist lobbying groups, with the ATF serving as an unwitting tool. Nevertheless, even you must have realized the following. 3 bullet points. Non-serialized guns are the purview of law-abiding hobbyists and are almost irrelevant. I'm going to open this up so I can actually see it, so you people can see it. All right. Non-serialized guns are the purview of law-abiding hobbyists and are almost irrelevant to crime of any sort. For 5 years, the ATF scoured police reports, but was only able to find less than 1% of the reports involved even suspected privately made firearms, and then only if you included potential crime scenes as opposed to actual ones. This despite the fact that a single crime scene might involve hundreds of factory-made firearms. For decades, the ATF encouraged hobbyists to fabricate firearms in their homes with definitions which multiple federal courts have excluded their work from both statutory and regulatory definitions of firearms and receivers. 3rd bullet point. As with bump stocks, a politicized ATF has now turned on Americans who relied on its definitions, encouraging people who relied on regulatory action to spend hundreds of dollars only to render that property worthless for political motives is involved in regulatory taking under the 5th Amendment. At a minimum, the ATF is constitutionally obliged to compensate people who lost money based on the agency's misrepresentations. Having said that, I encourage the ATF to withdraw these regulations. Wow, I'm taking that back. This was not boilerplate. This is right up there at the top. Top 100, top 10, I don't know, top 100 for sure, top 50, I don't know. So with commentary, we only have 1 vote. One person is going to dominate. He's a pretty big dude, and he's also big dude in 2A because he is constantly running live conversations on Saturdays. So if you like this, imagine this with a whole bunch of people and they're talking about guns and often 2A. That's what G23 does. So go over to his channel and check that out. You can watch like hours and hours and hours worth of past ones. All right, so I think this one is another one. For some reason, when I look at some of these, they look boilerplate to me, but I think this is real. So I'm going to look at it. I'm going to quit thinking about that. And since we got commentary turned on at this point, unless somebody toggles it off, then I'll make my opinions here. But if you get sick of it, let me know, and I can flip back up. I really don't care. I'm not doing this to offer my opinions, but sometimes I can't help it, and it's frustrating to not do it, but I don't mind not doing it either. R-05. ATF's effort to turn a left-wing propaganda effort into a politicized rulemaking represent a new low even for ATF. The Bureau starts with nonsensical politicized nomenclature, ghost guns, coined by outside partisans, and turns it into an unconstitutional effort to change the rules of gun ownership in the middle of the game. To begin with, privately made firearms are functionally irrelevant to the incidence of crime. There is no evidence they are used in crime. The best ATF has been able to do is argue that suspected PMFs were reported to be present in potential crime scenes. Even then, it's less than a fraction of 1% of the reports. For this reason, ATF regulators and policy have continued to get to green light to personally made firearms, until the Bureau began to receive pressure from groups who have spent literally billions of dollars to elect Joe Biden and anti-gun Democrats. ATF may want to consider that engaging in politically motivated rulemaking, which contradicts both the language and statute of previous regulatory pronouncements, may lack substantive due process and may violate the takings clause as well. Rest assured, this shady effort at political gamesmanship will be challenged in court, and like similar efforts to ban bump stocks, it will be repudiated. I like it. I like this one. It's a good one. I think the only thing I would say is slice it, right? Fillet that thing and put it in as 2, or at least. And then let me do a couple of things here since I'm transitioning into the next comment. First off, Echo just jumped in, another dude who runs live conversations, knows a lot of stuff about firearms, nuts and bolts, and reloading for sure. Interesting channel, check it out. Thanks for joining us tonight, or what the hell is today? This morning, live. And I also forgot to mention that I'm kind of sneaking this in. I have a thing that either starts in 40 minutes or an hour and 40 minutes. So this will last for an hour and 40 minutes or 40 minutes, depending on when I get a text over here. All right, so with that being said, at this point, comments are turned on. My commentary is turned on. If somebody wants to toggle that off, let me know if it's getting to be annoying, and we'll get back into the comments themselves. And I'm assuming volume's working. There's 13 people hearing commenting, but I'm not yelling like normal, so it's weird because I turned the volume thing up over here. All right, so I'm gonna do comment 10, 8, 11. So 10811. RE-ATF 2021 R-05. It has not escaped anyone's attention that the political attack on gun. Oh wait, I just read this. Next one. Comment 10824, 10,824. RE-ATF 2021 R-05. The ATF must immediately withdraw their proposed rules to criminalize so-called ghost guns. To start, the very phrase ghost guns is a politically charged prerogative used to scare Americans and justify the infringement of a right to craft homemade firearm, a right ancillary to the Second Amendment. Is that real or is that boilerplate? In fact, some of the items being classified as ghost guns are best described as non-firearms because they do not meet any federal definition and are not functioning weapons. Other items referred to as ghost guns are completed 80% receiver kits, which can be described as fully functioning homemade firearms rather than the manipulative phrase ghost guns. When the state of California, Giffords Law Center sued to force the ATF to enact gun control by alleging threats posed by ghost guns, it was the ATF that filed a motion to dismiss the case. Here's what the ATF said in January of 2021, just a few months ago. While any specific crime is a tragedy, 8 such crimes out of the 1.1 million violent crimes committed in the relevant 6-year period is a far cry from an overwhelming wave that would cause a state injury sufficient to confer standing. Nor can California plausibly plead that these crimes would not have occurred with traditional serialized firearms. The ATF must live by its own words and recognize the constitutional right of the United States citizen to craft their own firearms to keep themselves safe. No proposed gun control law, including the proposed regulation of so-called ghost guns, will stop criminals from being able to obtain and use firearms in the commission of crimes. All right, commentary is on, so we're going to comment on this one. It's a boilerplate. I don't know how many times I've read it. Doesn't matter because no human needs to remember that. There's a thing called logarithm. Logarithm is just simple machine learning. If this, that, right? If this, do this type of thing. And you just use that machine learning. You use a logarithm of a mathematical logic to go through and data harvest or data mine, or whatever you want to call it, look through the database of all these comments. And they can tell it to look for this entire thing. They can tell it to look for this word. We all have seen how search works on the internet. It works the same inside of a database full of comments like this. So when they set their thing out there, assume they have a little dial there, and they say like, give me 100% of this. Give me if it's 80% of this. What if it's only 70% of it? What if it's this sentence and this sentence? And if they are against us, if they want to do whatever they want to do, and no matter what we do, they're going to use it against us, then using boilerplate lets them dismiss. It lets them say, oh, well, there's 11,000 comments, but 10,000 of those comments shared a paragraph or more. And I tell you what, I've been doing a lot of research on stuff, and one of the strategies used by the other side is to obfuscate. Is that the right word? Like to confuse through a bunch of numbers. They'll tell you how the number of firearms deaths is 65% of what it would have been last year. 40% of them would have been 35% of what they were the year before that. And all the while, when we were looking it up on Barbecue Show last night, what is it? Smoking? No, it's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. So kills 90,000 people every year. Alcohol kills 400,000 people every year, and firearms is 36 if you count the 66%, which are suicides. So that's about as much numbers as we get into, comparing the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, 400, almost 500,000 deaths, 100,000 deaths, and then 30,000 deaths. Of that 30,000 deaths, 2/3 of them, more than that, is suicides. So they're going to suggest that that's the most important thing to do. And of those number of deaths, which are much less than the alcohol or the tobacco side, this number of ghost gun incidents is somehow a scourge that's going to outdo alcohol or tobacco. So anyway, they're out to get us. And if we're going to this is a cool letter. I mean, I'll tell you, I don't mind reading it. I'll read it once today. If we hit it a bunch of times, I'm not going to read it over and over again. But it is a good one. And I think what unfortunately is what a regular person's going to do is see this letter and go, dang, that really states what I want to say. And then they send it. But just a little insight, when they want to dismiss what we're saying, they're going to use boilerplate language against us. So Woods, a dude that hangs out in a lot of these live chats we're talking about, he'll tell you, you come up with an angle or a point that you want to make, you create a first sentence, you make 3 other sentences, and then you reiterate that first sentence, or something like that. It's a real simple way to just, be concise and to stay on point, and use your own words if you can. It's not a bad thing to have these comments, but I'm just telling you, as somebody who's now read a bunch of them and knows how databases, I kind of know how databases work. They'll be able to pull the data out of this to make whatever point they want, and let's make that difficult for them. And it's just as simple as a bunch of little efforts. A bunch of little raindrops are impossible to stop accumulating, and that's why they have to build dams, right? They can't stop the flow of a bunch of little raindrops. Not to mention, gee, how many millions of deaths per year due to tobacco and what they do about that. It's not millions, it's 500,000. Let's be precise. It's something like 463,000, and that's if you count secondhand smoke. But that's a heck of a big number, and just putting a dent in that giant number it overwhelms this one, including, no one's suggesting that we want to ignore firearms. It's just that, hey, let's work together and actually get rid of firearms deaths, assholes. And that's by getting rid of suicides, right? Firearms deaths is violence, and it's suicides. So how do you get rid of violence? You wish and hope and all the prayers and stuff that everybody hates, right, to think about. But then you get rid of the suicides by removing barriers to mental health help, and then removing the stigma of mental health help. Right. And that's doable, and that's doable without legislation that removes property from individuals who are obviously safe. So anyhow, yeah, we'll keep going. But yeah, there's lots of things that they could be going after. And hopefully these are ideas for you to make your own comment or take an angle on one of these and make a couple of comments on it. 81% of gun owners never use their firearms except for range trips, and that is probably on the higher side. Oh yeah, exactly. It's probably more like 90% of gun owners don't use their guns for nothing. But you know what? We don't all use our ice scrapers all the time either, and we still got them. We don't use our lawnmowers 24/7. We still got them. Right on. So I'm going to get back to, what's this, 10,824. So 10,824. Oh no, this was the one I just read. So next we're still only 1, 2, 3, 4 in when I do comments on. If you want me to turn off comments, let me know. I quit commenting, but it takes forever to get through them when you do it this way. So I'm already looking at a repeat a literal repeat. So I was just saying how I only got through 4 of them. Boom. So the first one was pretty good, and I thought it was a boilerplate, and then I read it, and I thought, oh, no, that's not boilerplate. But now that makes it definitely look like a boilerplate. Dang it. I'm going to put them next to each other and look, make sure we're not looking at the same one. I've definitely done that before. So 10.818, 10.817. So these are not just boilerplate, but they're sequential. And the only difference is this one is copy and paste boilerplate. And this one has a sentence in the front. So at least this one put a sentence in the front. But again, let's go back to how simple stuff is. Let's copy this, tell our thing to search for it, and it's going to say this one's got it, and it's 90% of it. It's got this little additional paragraph, but otherwise they're identical. And if they're looking for reasons to dismiss us, come on, we have like an hour, then they're going to dismiss us. Or they're going to use that to dismiss us. Oh, well, now it's changed until 11, so I got an hour and a half. All right, well, so feel free to super chat because I don't make any money just sitting here talking about the internet, in front of the internet. But I'm going to dig in for a little while again. So this one's literally cut and paste. I don't know where this one's from. If anybody knows this one from site, I have not looked at like FPC, I suspect has a boilerplate, and Gun Owners America, I suspect has a boilerplate. I'm sure some of the local or let's say state level organizations that can afford to have the websites that run all that kind of stuff probably have their own boilerplates going. And some of those I've seen do not let you change the boilerplate. Obviously, this one let people edit it a little bit, or people have chosen to add something after they copied and pasted. But if anybody knows which one this is, I'd be curious. It's a good one, but for everything I just said over there, I think there's a but in there. Dude, thank you very much. So I do appreciate that. That's pretty much. I know there's a lot of people been showing and asking about gun YouTube money, so I'm definitely going to do a video on YouTube money. And this year is like, that's a quarter of my YouTube money this month, so I appreciate that. Thank you. So that was Wayne throwing out a super sticker, which is some way that you don't get to comment, I guess. And then Garrett throwing in $5. Either one of them could have commented and said something, but no obligation. But I do appreciate that very much. Nobody else appreciates the super chats more than me, and they definitely go towards feeding me and the house and the van and the little puppy. All right, so next we've got, dang it, is that another one? Holy moly, this is going to be frustrating. No, that's not okay. 817, 825. Okay. Okay, good. I just had opened up the same one again. Now we're going to go to 10,825, 10825. Excuse me. Right on. I do appreciate that. ATF must immediately withdraw their proposed rules to criminalize so-called ghost guns. To start, the very phrase ghost guns is a politically charged prerogative. Yeah, I just did read this. Yeah, here, when the state of California. So now we're seeing some duplicate boilerplate stuff for sure. Next is 10,821. REATF 2021 R-05. Since the founding of the Republic, Americans have made firearms at home. In the 21st century, steel and wood have given way to aluminum and plastic. This new rule by the ATF attempts to regulate the making of firearms by private persons who are not FFL holders and to regulate those guns which are made within a private residence for personal use. The Gun Control Act's central premise has been based on Congress's authority to regulate interstate commerce. A private party making a firearm for their own use has never been subject to such regulation. This proposed rule is a radical and unneeded departure from this historical precedent. To underscore this point, page 36 of the proposed rule even says, clarifying this issue is needed to deter an increased sale and distribution of unlicensed and unregulated, partially complete or unassembled frames or receivers, often sold within parts kits that can be readily completed or assembled into a functional state. The definitions being proposed in this rule are unlawful because Congress has not taken any action to regulate home-built firearms, firearms braces, or the records that must be kept by licensed dealers. This proposal reeks of agency overreach. Even though this proposed rule rule lists several firearms by name that had not been invented when most of the current laws and rules were enacted. There is nothing to prevent an inventor from inventing and selling a new type of firearm, frame, or even a slide after the proposed rule takes effect, which would make at least part of these new rules obsolete. It is the job of Congress to write the laws and federal agencies to enforce them. This proposed rule appears as illegitimate lawmaking because it states that it is in some way in response to the manner in which the courts have ruled on the AR-15 type firearm receiver. If a change is needed in the law, then it is properly the job of Congress to change the law. It is not a job of a regulatory agency. For these reasons, I am respectfully requesting that you do not enact these rules. I read that one again, but I read that one fine because I've read it a million times. That's another boilerplate. It's a good one again, but at least we're seeing at least 3 different boilerplates because that's one of them. This one was the other one about California and that cool quote about the insignificant number of crimes that might even maybe be happening, but they can't really prove because nobody writes it down. And there's no like common awareness of it. It's just like they'd have to go find it or specific instances of it. Anyway, then we're going to get to this next one. Let's see. Gramps, another one. Thanks again. I do appreciate it. Didn't mean to be a jerk about bugging people, but I do appreciate it now that you throw money at me. Let's see. I own and I'm safe. You try to take mine and you're not safe. Okay. So, let's see. ATFs. All right. I think this one's a good one. So we're going to go with 10,813. RE ATF 2021 R-05. ATF's effort to turn a left-wing propaganda effort into a politicized rulemaking represent a new low, even for ATF. The Bureau states, the Bureau starts with a nonsensical politicized nomenclature, ghost guns, coined by outside PMFs are functionally irrelevant to the incidence of crime. There is no evidence they were actually used in crime. The best the ATF has been able to do is that suspected ATFs or PMFs were reported to be present in potential crime scenes. Even then, it's less than a fraction of pressure from groups which had spent literally billions of dollars to elect Biden and the anti-gun Democrats. So this is comment 10.832. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Tim saying the boilerplates are probably from the different firearms groups. Yeah, except that now, we're up to like 5. I guess we could, since we're trying to provide a service here, not just observe what's happening, right? A bunch of losers that just observe and profit off of that. I'm sitting here profiting and opening up a notepad, which is way more activism. So I'm going to open up this notepad, which is on everybody's computer, unless you're feeble and you use a Macintosh, then you probably have something like Notepad or something. So I'm going to open up Notepad and I'm going to start to grab these boilerplate ones. So you didn't expect this to happen. What? I have to learn stuff? So now I wonder if these are just there's no way I'm reading the ones that I've read before. So these are definitely boilerplates. All right, so we saw before that this one's a boilerplate. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to shove it over here, right? I hit enter a couple of times because I don't like starting at the top. And then, what are we going to call this? BP1 because it's the first one we see. All right, and then a little space. This is Notepad, so you got to do your own little formatting here. And then we'll start with BP1. And maybe we'll try to keep track of how many are there too. So another little thingy like this, and we'll get going. So that was the first one. And then we've got I remember. I think this one. This is like a weird game of what's that game where you have to remember stuff and there's cards and you flip them over. Except this is with a regulatory agency in our civil rights. and the consequences are freedom. But otherwise, it's just like one of those memory games. ATF must withdraw. Having said that, for decades, so there's 3 already of these. And this one is definitely one. The whole thing, like private steel, wood, given away to aluminum. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do this live. It's probably even too boring for me to do this on this channel. I can do this off air, I guess. This is the kind of boring stuff I do to try to keep track of dumb things that probably don't matter. Because I could probably just go to the different websites and figure out their boilerplates that way. It's probably more efficient and less recreating a wheel. All right, so I'll just try to dig through ones that ain't boilerplate at this point. So I pretty much can tell which ones I've heard before because of the yellow thing at the top. The little annoying yellow thing actually has a use now. So now I don't hate it as much as I used to. I'll still hate it, but now I am going to use it to my advantage. All right, so we're digging into 10829, 10,829. Boilerplate. Dang it. Well, I know this one's boilerplate, so I'm putting it in here anyway, even though I said I'm not going to. And then I know this is at least the second one. This one is 03. Put a bunch of little lines in there. Drop the damn thing, and then put another space there so that we can see them each other. And then we'll go up here, and I'll cheat and just copy that. Hit enter, paste, and then edit these to be 2 and 3. And now I'm pretty sure that was the second time I read 3 there. All right, next up is ATF should be a 80% and the ATF quote. So that's another one. And it has to be like the 3rd time with this one. A lot of these, a lot. Here's the thing, I won't try to finish this, but I can't help. So I'm going to have to record some of these since I'm here, and I don't want to have to do all this work twice. So you're going to have to bear with me. But anyway, that one, well, it's got to be like the 3rd or 4th one, right, for that one. 04. So we're definitely seeing lots of boilerplate in this 11,000. I don't know if this happened last time. This didn't happen so much last time. You know what? It might be that they didn't push through the boilerplate last time. So maybe it's a different group of people at ATF, at the ATFE, or they're playing some new game, like, oh, we're going to push them all through and then, then remove them all, or some kind of weird checkers go type of game. Congress, please do not. It's another boilerplate. Oh, this is super frustrating. I've been doing this for a while on more than one of these comment periods. This is the most frustrating one yet. This is a lot of boilerplates. Boilerplate, dang. Yeah, boilerplate. There's people that know what I'm talking about with the databases and whatnot, the brain nerds. They can probably already figure out how to hork all the stuff we're talking about here, so that we can get a better idea. In fact, you would think that somebody's got them kind of skills would just do it, because that's a good way to exercise 2A using a skill set that the rest of us don't have, but we know is available and we could use the results from it. But yeah, this is another one, I think. Please don't enact these rules, yeah. ATF must immediately withdraw. Yeah, politically charged prerogative. And if you didn't use a word like pejorative or whatever the stupid word is, nobody would know that it's boilerplate, or at least it'd be a lot difficulter for a human to figure out it's boilerplate. Al Gore's rhythms are going to figure this stuff out in like 14 seconds. This is the most frustrating one of all of them, I think. Given way to aluminum and plastic. I mean, you don't even have to look hard and you can see that these things are all boilerplate. Are you motivated if all you do is go click on a bunch of boilerplate clickies? I don't know, I guess so. To start the very phrase ghost gun, in fact. So if people are like, I don't know if I should write a letter, or what's the matter? There's already 11,000. Maybe that's the scam. Hey, make it look like there's 11,000, and then we can go, oh, you know what? These are like 10,000 of them are the same. Here's what the ATF said. I mean, this is a really good letter, so I'm not complaining about any of these letters. They're all really good. I was super impressed every time I read them when I thought they were legit, real ones, but it's just gets, once you see something awesome, a billion. Seen the new one yet? This one, and it looks like it because this starts off with the RE, whatever. I am writing to express my opposition to the ATF's proposed rule regarding homemade firearms. This rule places burdens on licensed firearms dealers and manufacturers in the form of increased record keeping, including a new requirement to keep completed 4473s indefinitely instead of for 20 years. Furthermore, the new proposed rule, which will require dealers and gunsmiths to record every firearm that they work on in their bound book, even those which are not kept overnight, poses an unneeded burden on gunsmiths who are overwhelmingly small businesses. Something different is flying around out there. I don't know if you hear it over my mic or not, but that's a different thing. Yeah, I live where they take the old graveyard planes and soup them up and fly them around and then put them back into the graveyard. So they're flying around something interesting today, it sounds like. Got distracted. I can't help it though. I want to go run out there and see what they're flying around. It appears that the new record-keeping requirement is being forced upon dealers and gunsmiths to record firearms into their bound book, which are bought in for repair but not kept overnight. This new rule only serves to aid ATF in possibly establishing a gun registry when a dealer or gunsmith goes out of business and submits the records to ATF. But even more so, this provides ATF with yet another tool to claim that a violation has occurred and gives them the ability to threaten these small business owners with fines and jail time. I urge this agency to withdraw this regulation. Man, I wish this wasn't boilerplate, but it is. That makes me think that one seems like boilerplate maybe from an industry organization or somebody who knows a little bit more about the back end door or what's behind the curtain at the gun shops or whatever, because that had a lot of insight from industry. Yeah, that was the weirdest jet. Sounded like huge, I guess, because took forever to get here and it didn't go by very fast, and then kind of creeped along forever leaving. Usually they take off from the airport and do just a big circle or two around town, like the perimeter of town, I think. I don't know, because I can't tell when they leave. But they fly around, and sometimes you get 2 glances at them, depending on how long they fly around. Sometimes they just fly around once, or they fly somewhere away from here for sure. But it does sound like it's coming back a little bit. And I am going to leave this and run out there if it comes back, because this is fun, but I only get to see cool airplanes every single day. So I'm just going to run out there real quick if that happens again. Next up is... People aren't even putting their own chunks into the boilerplate. So this is like if you had some horrible job where you had to I don't want to even say it, but you had to do something horrible, and then the only thing good about your job is at least once in a while something's different about the horrible stuff, but that's not even happening. These are all good. I would be reading them, except that I've already read them in this video. Like I read them earlier. I'm reading the ones that guns are gone. I guess we're going to end up and I haven't guns anymore. I don't even want to count. If somebody counted, then you know the answer, but that was way too many comments. I'm not going to do much with my notepad there, especially since I have all the time in the world to do so. So I would put that challenge out there to the brain nerds that can data mine that stuff easy. And I know pretty sure Walt did it while we were in a live chat one time. when we were talking about the pistol braces back in December. Let's not forget that the ATF threw the pistol braces at us on the Saturday or the Friday on the weekend before Christmas. So less than 7 days before Christmas, they dropped the braces on us, and enough people were motivated by that inappropriate action that they ended it, just a week. So I don't remember the numbers. I'd have to go all the way over to here and then click on this and then click on this, and then I'd have to go down to here, and then I'd have to click on the ATF comment periods in order to find out that the stabilizing braces had 7,000. I'll just put a link over there if anybody wants to check this out. But the braces had 73,000 comments submitted, and then 7,000 approved. Right now we're at 39,000, almost 40,000, getting to 40,000 submitted and 11,000 approved. So they are playing a little different game. 7,000 submitted, only 700,000. Okay, see what they're doing? They only approved 10% of them last time. So I didn't see anywhere near as many duplicates. This time, a full third of them, no, a quarter of them, 25% of them are already approved. And we just saw that plastered with duplicates. In fact, every single one I picked today was either, was the 5 or whatever form letters, and then the various copies of that form letter. Only a couple even had a sentence at the top. At least a couple had a sentence at the top to make them technically separate, but 90% similar. Then let's see, we had 95,000 comments approved for the bump stock out of almost 200,000 submitted. So that's about a 50% ratio there. So there's no way to know. Luckily, there's no real precedent for ATF comment periods. They're not 100% sure thing. There's simply an opportunity for us to focus on something and potentially act if you're the type to want to put effort into the fight. This is something that we can act together in the same direction, but not necessarily in unity. I think there's some danger if we all act in lockstep, and that might be this, that we're seeing a lot of the, I'm doing something by clicking and not changing anything on it, and then we'll see what the potential for nullification of that is. Who knows? Maybe they'll look at this and go, wow, we have, if they're not paying attention and they don't do the stuff I'm thinking about, they'll look at this and go, wow, we have 25% comment ratio, which is way bigger than we had for bump stocks, which was only 10%. So this must be something that we need to shut up about. That's the way it could go. I'm not going to say it is going to go that way. There's just an 81% chance it'll go that way. All right, well, with that, I don't know if I should keep going or not. I don't really want to get depressed and read a bunch of these that are boilerplates. I wish there was some way to get to the ones that weren't boilerplates. I already sorted it by newest to oldest. I guess I better drink some coffee. Since you're yawning, ain't you? Bought some of that little tiny seed for the little tiny bird feeder. So I got a bunch of little Tweety birds out there today. All right, so notepad for the win. Sometimes concentration, sometimes seeing all the boring stuff can show outside people the effort that creators go through to make videos. I hope so. For people that are interested, I don't want to look at how something's made that I don't care about, but stuff that I care about, it's certainly interesting to me. Still up to the Vanagons across the country? No, I still have the van thanks to Patreons, but I can't afford to go nowhere. No. So I don't really hardly go anywhere. I've used the same intro words in all my statement. This comment pertains to a TF. I've used the same intro words in all my statements. I don't know if this comment pertains to a TF. What does that mean? What's TF? I don't know what that means, Patriot, but yeah, I hear you. Putting the same tag or whatever at the beginning, I don't think there's a problem with that. At least I don't think so. I'm not a strategist, but as far as like common sense or whatever, quote unquote, what I would think is like that's just a tag, I guess. And if it's only like the first sentence of a multi-sentence thing, then it's not like a majority. It's almost like when these things say RE 2021 or whatever, like that part is common. So they're going to expect a certain amount of similarities between all the comments. So I don't know if that would be, I don't think that would be a bad thing at all. But I'm always surprised by stuff I don't understand. Let's see, I doubt they'd be motivated. This is from Wayne. I doubt they'd be motivated if they were all totally personal. This aren't reps, this is ATF. It can cause enough stink. It makes headlines or Congress take notice. Different story. Okay, now you gotta make an awesome point there, really. This is like us super nerds reading these things and then being frustrated because the last time we read these things, they were way better. But we already discovered that they don't have a filter in place. So boom, that right off the bat, we're not seeing a filtered list. Maybe it's because of my videos. Maybe I forced the ATF to turn off a filter so that they could attempt to negate this, which we can solve easily. Ha ha ha, ATF dumbasses. All I have to do is ask people to send me good ones. Dumbasses. So leave a comment on this video every time you find the ATF ID number. And then I can just read all the good ones. Dumbass ATF trying to block us. So that's how you bypass them. No, that's a good point, though. They aren't reading these. There might be a few political strategists being paid by Bloomberg, I mean the government and Bloomberg, to go through and read these as a strategist, as someone who's attempting to figure out our strengths and weaknesses so that they can fracture and make us work against ourselves. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think that that's a good point, that having a bunch of these boilerplate ones in there, I'm not complaining. I mean, they definitely were there for the last comment periods, with 73 comments put in like days for the braces and 200,000 put in the 90 days for the bump stocks. They're certainly worth having there. They show the dumbass regulatory enforcement agencies that either do these intentionally or begrudgingly that we are not happy with it and that we're not digging it. I only hope that these things get stronger and that with, if we get as we get more and more comments each time they pull this kind of crap, they're going to pull less of this crap. It's just wasting everybody's time. But I guess we'll see. Black Cat's out there. Good evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. New ATF director won't give a shit about comments. There is no new ATF director. So we have comment period that they want to distract us from, and then they put up a red herring, the worst possible candidate as an ATF director that divides and takes our attentions away. It takes our stuff off schedule if we think that, especially the people that are going to fly by night, the people that are going to go in whatever way the wind goes. You throw an ATF director with as many faults as that guy, or a potential ATF director with as many faults as that guy, you're going to get 1 million views to those Republicans that wailed on them, and you're getting all kinds of attention given to something that has, give us a number, what you think the percentage chance of what's his face getting nominated as ATF. President, this regime has, or this administration has so many things to worry about. If this was a done deal, then, would they need to do all this stuff? They would just be doing stuff. So I don't think that ATF guy I think he's red herring. I don't know. Let's see, what was that? Wait, where'd that one go? Yeah, I don't know. There's the link to, that's the link to this if you want to check it out. The link to this, though, I'm going to click on this. There. This is a simpler link. I'm going to drop that in there just because I haven't yet. Okay, everybody's going to say hello to each other. Yeah, but remember, this site is new with new tubes and levers and gears underneath. You mean regulations.gov? They have done something to it, but it's still basically a bunch of databases. The computer nerds will figure out how to pull the data out of there. That's where we were. The new ATF director. And then Patriots saying they say each comment is required to have the ATF and its number. That was ATF. Oh, okay. It was just a misspelling, or a letter got dropped there. So yeah. So there's going to be that amount of similarity. There should be at least that similarity on a lot of these, but and they're not filtering. So who knows if they're what their little game's going to be, or if they're, who knows how they're doing it. Not a government agency for sure. All of this distraction. Have you watched Blue's Clues? No. I want to work on projects today, but my neck is too stiff to turn it. Oh, dang. I don't know what to tell you. That happens to me, but take an aspirin or ibuprofen, I guess. Everything in the BATF Echo saying everything the BATFE does is already done by other federal and local agencies. Alcohol is done by the ABC, which is the Alcohol Beverage Commission's. Explosives is handled by Homeland Security. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. There's, in other words, people suggesting that you take the agency and dismantle it. Just a little bit of research I've done on it. It started out being a regulatory agency and became an enforcement agency with the gangsters. And once the prohibition, federal regulation on alcohol or attempt to prohibit alcohol didn't work and created organized crime. So the regulatory agency, which basically was just tax collectors and people that wrote the boring law you had to obey to pay the taxes or whatever for alcohol, all of a sudden had to be enforcement or just tasked with whatever enforcement agents. And well, you're going around beating up gangs anyway. Why don't you also secure the guns? Because the gangsters are the ones with the guns. So we need to thank media, in my opinion, politicians who hid behind the media hype. And then a couple of laws that we can remove, the NFA and stupid laws like the 1938 FFA. Those things. And then there's no need for ATF. So then you don't have to delegate its responsibilities and obligations to anywhere else. Now, it might have been losing connection. I don't know what it is. There must be something going on in my area. The kids must be playing internet when this time of day. Because I lose internet a lot of times this time of day. All right, well, so it's all a distraction. I agree. And FBI. So Echo is basically saying that you could chop up the ATF and put its obligations and responsibilities into other agencies. But I guess my position is just remove the laws that necessitate an ATF, and then its obligations and responsibilities just go into vapor. They just disappear. It's all distraction. And then ideally, when we do that, we remove the ATF and the NFA, then that leads to other ways that things can be removed. And once you remove a bunch of burden, the government requires a bunch of costs and overhead and whatnot. Once all that's gone and redistributed or, discovered in other places where money's festering and getting lost, stolen or whatever, then you create a situation where you've given them a blueprint and an incentive to go root out the other garbage in government. Once you get efficient running government, that's just one of the challenges. We've got an old clunky, dirty government. Do you throw it away or do you clean it? This is an opportunity or a potential to lead the way on how to clean the government. So, you don't clean with, some people clean with the littlest stuff first. Other people like to clean the biggest components first. So you clean out the ATF, it acts as a way to clean out the EPA and the DHS and all the other things that are goofy and huge and bloated. And then you create a bunch of politicians that get elected by how much they're going to remove from government. You get a government with a lot less need and obligations, so a lot less cost, and then lower taxes. And people take all that money, and at first they're probably going to be dumb about it, and then they start to help each other. And then people realize you don't need a government. That once you remove the burden of government, you give people the opportunity to help each other, and that's a cool thing. I think guns could lead the way for that. Let's do it. Unless you're doing something else this weekend. Then we go to Black. I don't know, man. It's in this climate. I give him 50-50. I don't trust the Republicans as far as I can throw. Oh, you're talking about the ATF guy? I mean, I guess. I'm not saying I can see the future or nothing. I just really see that guy as being like a desperate attempt. Like they could not have picked a worse candidate. Somebody that, my analogy is always the politicians go up to a big, heavy punching bag and they throw the biggest punch they possibly can. And they know that punching bag's going to go the other way. And that's when they're going to start taking pictures and they're going to get the slow-mo of punching that bag. And in this case, gun owners of the bag, they punch that thing and it's going to lose some momentum and it's going to lose energy as it goes away from them. And then as it comes back, they can sit there with a smile on their face and put their face right where they need to. And that bag will come up and they do it just right. It'll barely just kiss them on the cheek. And then they'll stand there getting those pictures. And then the bag will just swing for the rest of time until it loses momentum and sits there like in you know, like nothing. It's lost all its inertia. That's how I see it. Is you know, the politicians will do that, and you just have to change the game up on them. So I don't trust the politicians either, but I just see them as this. It's too much of a show. I mean, if they get them, they're happy, obviously. But I just see it as like, hey, let's just throw this out there. It makes all our people happy. There's no way it'll possibly win, so the other side will be happy. A bunch of people will make money, so they'll be happy. And then a bunch of people that like to be miserable and complain about shit, they're going to have something miserable to complain about. They're going to be happy. So it's like win, 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 except for us who are over here just trying to make everybody free and, you know, make the government leave us alone or whatever. Let's see. If y'all don't trust, then why are you even paying attention? Whatever. Trust that we have a system that's gone through 2 world wars and a civil war, lots of other stuff. Improved social situation and society and civilization for many without doing too much horrible stuff. At least most of our horrible stuff has been inadvertently, and almost always say sorry after once we figure out the horrible shit we do. But you could also look at just the bad side. You know, what did I hear earlier? That if you're a race car driver, would you never look at the wall? Because you're going to hit the wall. So you can either pay attention to the little trifles as they go by, and sure enough, one of them trifles is going to trip you up. Or, like Kingpin says, we can pay attention to the long game and the concept that we ain't going to win, or there's no finish line. Best we can do is continue to fight effectively and hand off that baton to the next generation. You don't do that with a set of rules or instructions. You do that by effectively doing your job in front of them, so that they can emulate what worked and they can see what didn't work. They can learn from that, and when appropriate, they come up and help, and then take the baton and move forward, and then we can help them. So that's the best we can do, is get the next generation and those after to realize, like Reagan said, it's not something that's just here. It's not a given. We have to constantly fight for it. He said it better, I guess, but it's something we just have to maintain, and the best you can do is just maintain it with some style and some class, and then the youngins see how that's done, and they do the same. Or you can write a bunch of lists and give them instructions, and I'm sure some people dig that, and other people will rebel, and the other side will continue to try to exploit us all. But the smarter we get, learn their side. It's easy to learn their side. They're a bunch of idiots, right? So learn their side better than them. And once you can confuse them, they're ineffective. And if you're really good, you can get them back over to our side. And once they figured out they've been duped for so long, you know they have been, then they're super effective fighters on our side. Or you can think that's all bullshit and do whatever you want. But we are getting a little bit of comments, but not that many. I'm not here to prove nothing. I do appreciate the $30. So how much money I made today? From Garrett and Gramps. Was there another one? So $30. I do appreciate that. It's not why I do it, but it's super nice because I didn't make any other money today yet. So with that, we're ending it right. I'll wait about 4 more seconds and we'll end it right at an hour for 2A. Service Second Matters. We'll be doing that in about 3 hours.